I'm not really sure why we chose his room, but we did. My buddy closed the blinds so the room was a little darker. Not completely since it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but dark enough to set the tone. His sister lit the candle, and when she pulled out her Ouija board, I was a little surprised. The board itself was covered in a black velvet cloth, and when she removed the cloth, I noticed a bunch of markings and symbols written on the board. Definitely not the standard issued board you'd find at the store. She definitely added them herself. And so I asked her, what are those symbols on the board? All she said was, spells. I never got an answer if those spells were dark in nature or protective spells. His sister just ignored me and didn't answer when I asked. What happened next, I wasn't prepared for. The moment she placed her hands on that planchette, it started zipping around the board in an infinity symbol. You know, the number 8 when it's laid on its side. It was moving so fast I could feel my eyes struggling to track it. My buddy and I both looked at each other, surprised. She began asking questions. You know, the typical ones. Are you there? Who am I speaking with? And then we heard a noise in the living room. Remembering her son was asleep there, I said, maybe the baby woke up. The Ouija board moved to the word no and stayed there for a brief moment, then resumed doing the infinity sign, almost waiting for the next question. She asked me to go check on her son. When I walked into the living room, the baby was still asleep. So I returned to the room and let her know he's still sleeping. She just nodded and continued asking the next question. Spirit, can you make the candle flame get bigger? I quickly looked at the lit candle and noticed the steady flame began to flicker. It had been constant since we started the session. I looked at my buddy and I know he was thinking the same thing that I am. What the F? And to my surprise, the flame begins to double in size, from like an inch to almost 2 inches. All the while it's dancing and flickering. Now I rationalize a flame flickering from maybe a draft or something in the room, but not it doubling in size. That's impossible. Just then we heard my buddy's parents come home. So a sister moved the planchette over goodbye written on the board and begins to put the board away. She blows out the candle and says, we're done. Without another word, his sister gets up, grabs the board, and walks out of the room. We both sat there for a moment, and at the same time, we both say, what the fuck just happened? I'm not sure if this opened a door for the spirits to know who I am. But looking back, it sure feels like it was a turning point for me. The activity inside and outside his home started becoming a normal thing and has followed me my entire life. Doesn't matter where I live, there was always activity.